Every great artist of the last 100 years came out of a scene. Kurt Cobain had Seattle, Andy Warhol the Factory, and David Bowie came out of Berlin. Lagos, Kingston, Berlin, all these cities produced scenes which turned into movements. But it seems like these small local scenes, which birth larger things, are disappearing. As of 2026, we have our bedrooms and an algorithm. And the gap between our heroes and us has nothing to do with talent. In fact, some of the most talented people I've ever seen are creating music and making art right now. But the world that nurtured kids in tightly controlled scenes seems to be disappearing. With the internet homogenizing everything and social media numbers acting as proof of value, the scenes that turned sensitive kids into artists are disappearing rapidly. And we've spent years thinking the reason our work might not be landing is because we aren't good enough. The reasons are a little more nuanced than that. There's a structural reason why creative people feel orphaned right now. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Chapter 1. What a scene actually did. Originality is not a personality trait. And it's not something you're born with. It's something you build. And for any work to be truly original, it needs 3 very specific conditions. Every great movement of the last 100 years has had all 3. Number 1, a place to be. A scene is a geography as much as it's a vibe. It's a physical place you can walk inside of. Most of the scenes of the past were city blocks, where the rent was cheap enough for broke, weird, beautiful people to live next to one another. They drank in the same bars and moved in the same circles, and went to each other's shows. They got inspired and stole from each other. And this feedback loop was the entire point. A closed system which reacted to each other's vibe and art, till the system itself started having a sound or style of its own. An original sound or piece of work needs other people to react against. This action and reaction and the friction it creates is a developmental engine for something original to take place. Punk lived within a 4-block radius in New York in 1974. Warhol's factory was one silver painted room. Think of other scenes like the Bristol in the 90s, Trenchtown and Kingston. All of them were closed, self-contained, confined scenes. Number 2, the time to hide. Punk was underground for almost 4 years before anyone outside ever noticed it. Grunge was the music kids in Seattle made insularly for almost 6 years before it took off. Hip-hop spent years in parties in the Bronx before anyone outside ever heard it. And Afrobeat was a genre for almost a decade in Lagos before anyone else caught up. This time hiding is what let these scenes become what they became. A scene needs to be unwatched for long enough for it to develop its own internal logic, its own sounds, its own rules, its own ethics, and its own way of seeing. This requires years of being strange and weird in private. Years before the journalists, the labels, the trend forecasters, and the cameras show up. Obscurity and this time to do your own thing is a laboratory in which original ideas develop. Number 3, time to fail. This I feel is the most important thing. An artist needs years of being misunderstood by everyone except the 11 or 12 weirdos who are a part of their local scene. Years of bad songs, paintings and demos which aren't shown to anyone but the people who get it. The work has to be allowed to fail and refined in these closed communities before it ever reaches outside. These 3 things are the most important things a scene ends up providing. A place, time to hide and time to fail. That's kind of the recipe. Every great artist we can name today was a product of these 3 and product of such a scene. Now look at your life and tell me which one do you have. Chapter 2. What the internet killed. The 3 conditions that produce a scene are all dead. They're not weakened or going underground. They're simply dead. Look around you. All the cheap places are gone. The Lower East Side, where Patti Smith paid $80 a month, is $4,000 a month for a single room right now. Same story in Berlin, same story in London, same story in Mexico City and in Lisbon, and the same story in Bombay and in Delhi. Once a neighborhood gets famous for creatives being there, the developers move in, the rent goes up, and the actual broke artists get pushed out until the scene dies in 4 or 5 years. The global economy as it exists right now is built to turn creative neighborhoods into expensive ones, till all the creatives who actually live there are gone. And the way the world is going, there's no version that exists where this reverses in the next 10 years. The conditions that produced every great scene of the last 100 years simply cannot afford to exist anymore. 2. Hiding is impossible now. The algorithm cannot allow it. The whole business model of every platform that we use requires you to be seen right now. Nothing can quietly exist on Instagram Reels for 3 years, the way punk quietly existed at the CBGB for 3 years. On the internet, punishment is not being watched. The punishment of the internet is being invisible. And being invisible is the main thing you need to develop a voice of your own, rather than an echo which belongs to somebody else. Just look at how fast subcultures die right now. Cottagecore lasted 2 years before Taylor Swift turned it into an album. Indie sleaze lasted for barely weeks before Vogue had a piece up explaining what it meant to people who weren't in it. Most of the movements or subcultures that are coming up now die before they're ever developed. They become a stupid fashion or aesthetic movement before any real substance or story can surface. The moment something becomes legible, it becomes a hashtag. And the moment it becomes a hashtag, it becomes a product. And the moment it becomes a product, the soul of it dies. Number 3. Time to fail is just gone. When your work is visible from day one, you cannot afford to fail in private. Every demo and every draft and every experiment is on a public scoreboard the minute it leaves your room. The metrics and the likes and the shares start judging the work before it's ready to be judged. We stop making to learn, but we start making to perform. Listen to any record from, let's say, between 1989 and 1993. It was like they came out from completely separate worlds. Whereas play a record from, let's say, the last 15 years. It's shocking how familiar all of it sounds. The newness used to be infinite, but now everything sounds and looks like something else. I think the artists today are extremely talented. They just have nowhere to go. Chapter 3. The wound we carry. I think the reason a lot of us feel uncreative right now and feel that there's a lack of originality is because we're trying to become artists inside a world that maybe no longer has the means to make one. A century of research on how humans become themselves keep landing on the same findings. None of us build our identity alone. We build it through interactions with other people. We need a community of mirrors. We become who we are by being seen, by being challenged, and by being reflected back by other human beings who are also doing similar things. The Factory did that, CBGB did that. I don't know if a feed can do this. Watching a factory documentary on YouTube, which is what I do, is completely different from, let's say, walking to the factory when you were 19. One of these experiences changes who we are, while the other one is just content. 2 years ago, the US Surgeon General released a report. He said being lonely now kills people about as fast as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Young adults in 2020 spend around 40 minutes a day with friends. In 2003, that number was 150. The internet's currency is attention, and it's redirecting us from our communities to the feed. We're trying to make the most social art forms in history, inside the worst loneliness epidemic in modern history. Art is people responding to people. And on the internet, we have nobody responding. We are pouring everything we have into a void which gives us back a number. And this just might be what it is. That the scenes that produce the artists we love aren't coming back. The rent will not drop and the algorithm will not reward obscurity. The internet, I don't think, will give us years of quiet failure. It seems like the world will not make room for us. So maybe there's no reason we should expect it to. What we have instead is the work that we make when nobody is watching. The thing that we make at 2 a.m. that nobody asked for. The thing that has no reason to exist but you keep making it anyway. Every scene in history started with one weirdo who refused to stop and then other weirdos finding them. The artists who built the scenes you love didn't know they were building them. They just kept making things. And maybe you don't know what you're building either. The only option we have right now is to keep making things and see where it goes. If you stayed for so long, thank you so much for watching. And please let me know in a comment, do you think that your local scenes have disappeared? If this work speaks to you, click join below and become a member. It really helps me keep making these videos. As a musician myself, here's a song I made recently that I'm really proud of. And if you prefer more of these talking head style of essays, here's a video that I think you might like. If you liked or felt anything, please leave a comment. I would love to connect with you.